Over the weekend, Michael Gove, the Secretary of State for Communities, announced that there would be this bill that he would present to Parliament, which would effectively ban public bodies from adopting their own foreign policies. Now, that bill was presented to the House of Commons today, and it's called the Economic Activity of Public Bodies Bill. This is it here. Its main focus is to stop councils and all UK public bodies from adopting boycotts, divestments, or sanctions targeting Israel specifically, because the government believes it's counterproductive for any foreign policy other than its own to be pursued at local level. Now, this is only the first reading. That's something of a formality in the House of Commons. So if you'd been watching, you wouldn't have noticed very much about the bill. But what it does is set into motion the process for it to be passed into law. It will have a second reading. It has, since that reading today, since its presentation to the Commons, been published, so we can all look through it now and see the actual details of exactly how the government wishes to put that into law.
How successful has the BDS movement been in the UK? Certainly it's made a lot of noise, and there are certain pockets where it seems to be popular. How much has it actually been effective?
Well, many do question whether the BDS movement has been particularly effective in its declared aims, which is financial, aiming to perhaps cripple the state of Israel financially or to put pressure on it in a way that official sanctions might do, for example, in relation to countries like Iran. Of course, it's had no such effect, but that's not to say that it's not damaging on a reputational and PR level. And I think that part of what the government's hoping to do here is to try and ensure that really it has even less power to damage Israel, but more importantly, less power to damage the relationship between the UK and Israel, because this government and plenty of others have and will have strong relations with Israel, even if it does it quite quietly. Remember that Israel actually provides quite a lot of goods for the United Kingdom, and services flow both ways. In fact, both countries are at the moment just trying to negotiate a free trade agreement, because the last one was signed in the 90s and doesn't really fully apply to the kind of trade the two countries do now. I mean, the Israeli generic pharmaceuticals company Teva, for example, supplies an extraordinary amount of the generic drugs used in the National Health Service here in the UK. It's just one example of the way in which the countries get on. So it's an embarrassment for the UK government when there are local governments or universities or other public bodies effectively putting in place these kind of boycotts or bans of their own, which run contrary to the policy of the government. And I think that's what this bill is aiming to deal with.